All right, everybody, we're back with some updates from the amazing, super interesting Danielle Diva, who's going to be telling us about stuff from the local lands from whence she hailed that mostly we don't get to hear about. And man, is this some scary stuff. So before we get into it, don't forget, click that like button. Make sure you're subbed. In case you're unsubbed, sub again. Share the video. This one needs to go around so everybody else can be aware of the dangers that we might face if we are unaware of what's going on. And some countries are actually worried about it. On the show here, I'm going to be running some video in the background that actually was a documentary made for Bucharest public television. So
Yes.
this wasn't like, some hack together thing. There was actual documentarians out there doing research on this thing because it's becoming kind of an issue over there. So with that, everybody, like I said, here we go, and we are with Danielle Diva. Welcome back to the show, dear.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Duke. I always enjoy being part of your shows. They're interesting. There's something different and unique, perfect. Always, it's pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's always a blast to have you here. I wish I could have you on more often, but you just don't do enough Bigfoot research, hon.
And not only that, I'm so busy. I keep running back and forth. I have a lots of things, and I try to juggle with my crazy schedule.
Well, honestly, we communicate via text messaging and whatnot a lot.
Yeah.
And we do simultaneously, much less doing our own shows and then being on a to be here, and especially with the important kind of a general all-purpose warning thing that talking about here with the Gypsy death cult of the Carpathian Mountains. So get us up to speed on these. Everything I've been hearing about these people is very alarming.
It
and
is.
I guess even by the standards of the locals,
Yes.
who have had centuries of alarming things happen. It's even alarming from their standpoint.
It is. So I'm glad that you actually choose this topic because it's becoming quite more and more publicized on the social media and all around. Vlasi are very special group of the people that live in the Balkans, and they actually are gypsies originally coming from Indo area, but nobody originally knows where they're originally coming from, because we have Romanian gypsies, we have Serbian gypsies, we have Macedonian gypsies, Polish gypsies. These ones are not related to any of these groups. As much as the physical appearance looks, they're similar, but they have their own language, so they cannot understand each other with other gypsies. They have their own culture, their own tradition, and their own beliefs. And that's what it's the most scariest about this culture. Their culture go back more than 2,000 years ago. So even before the Christianity, they did exist. They believe in three worlds, and that's upper world, middle world, and underworld. They believe that we as a people live in the middle world, and that, the higher power is an upper world, like a gods, and there's multiple gods in their beliefs. And then they have the underworld. When we're talking about the underworld, this is where the darkness is coming from. So they're really obsessed with death, preparation for the death, and they actually work all the magic and the black rituals that is connected with the death and passing over to the other side.
Scary. So before we go any further, let's get a few things kind of sorted out here. One is that the gypsies aren't just like a way of life or something. They're a distinct genetic group.
Yes.
Which apparently came from northern India originally. But now they've been isolated from each other long enough that although they're a distinct genetic group, they now have like different languages, different little customs and stuff in the certain areas that they live in. They don't inbreed with outsiders.
No.
That's an important point.
No.
That's why they're a distinct genetic group. So whatever weird stuff they're up to, we're not finding out about it because we're not inbreeding with them. Got that part of it?
No.
And the other thing is that because they're now become these distinct groups, gypsies don't have a home. They travel around. That's why they're gypsies. Sometimes they settle down for a while. There's this other group, the Vlasi, that are sort of can go all over the place and are kind of spreading now.
Yes.
And they're not the good guys.
And that's why you're seeing more of this on the social media. Original documentaries actually that are mostly made by the professionals. When I'm talking professionals, I'm talking about real channels like Television Bucharest, Radio Belgrade, television, of Macedonia, and the list goes on, Greece. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because before this population was really under control of the government. And the reason why is because of all of the rituals that they did. Those rituals are really dark, and we are not talking about hocus pocus and make-up stories. We are talking about real death, about real possessions, and destroying the entire families. Here in North America, in Canada, and United States, where are you, Duke, in Montana? In all 50 states, and including our territories and our provinces here, Vlasi and their religion is actually against the law. If you're caught practicing, you will be severely punished, and you may be even sent back if you're not legally born inside of the Canada or United States. They're mentioning it at this magic because it was so secretive and hidden, is stronger than voodoo.
Well, comparing and contrasting, you
Yes.
can get away with practicing voodoo in the U.S. I don't know about Canada.
Yeah.
And, I'm not really that in favor of that even going on. So it's, these guys must be really nasty if they won't even, like you're getting thrown out of the country,
Yes.
sort of thing.
So the truth, what is during the communism time, that's the one good side about communism. I must say that they didn't allow, especially this particular group, to terrorize the rest of the populations. And the reason why many people prior to governments becoming stable would lose their family members, loved ones. Women were not capable of giving the birth. People will lose their hairs. They get cancer, many different illnesses. So, for example, it's enough, Duke, that I don't like you. I'll go pay my fees to basically the Vlasi, and it's 99% a lady that is a master in her craft. I'll pay her the money, I'll go to the village, and tomorrow you won't exist. And that was then, as much as, they're atheistic and communist leaders, they have their own rules, they actually got scared because they started prosecuting them. So they did start this witch hunt, what was actually, I'm going to be honest, really needed. And that's the only thing that I must say that was being done to protect the rest of the populations. In Romania, up to even today, they have a Holy Thursday. So every Thursday around their own government, you will see a purple bow. And even the president or whoever will wear a purple bow. It's like something to protect against their evil spells. They did destroy many of the families. And the worst part is, Duke, that they know how. So this is, like I'm saying, this is not Hollywood. This is what they do, and they master it for over 2,000 years.
Mm. Yeah, I can see how you wouldn't want that kind of unchecked power running around without any kind of checks on it. They seem like they need checking.
Yes, yes. And the worst thing, what is it, if we're talking about them and their culture, they're quite unique. They don't mix with other, people. If they usually mix, that would be a female that is in a charge getting mixed with a male who would be almost like her servant. Female is in charge of entire household. She's trained for entire life to do this witchcraft. And basically, when they're even marrying between themselves, they're looking which family has a better, we can say, a witch inside of their home to marry with another one. They can do a pretty nasty things. So they openly made a horrible crime inside of the basically Serbia just recently. The movie was originally made by original story where mother-in-law did put a spell on a gentleman who wasn't actually Vlad himself. And so she was very angry at her daughter, and she put a spell. And as she did that, he actually went through the entire village and started shooting people. He did end up in a mental hospital, and all the neuropsychiatrists, they actually did a research and study, and they cannot diagnose him 100% with anything. And this is the first time, because, you know, neuropsychiatric patients are protected. The camera cannot go inside. They did allow them to come inside and do the interview with him, and he looks just like a freaking zombie. And if people want to watch it, it's called Black Wedding. And they can find it on the Netflix. There's some even on the YouTube. But every story there and every point of the story is actually true. They even involved the priest. The priest came out to protect these families. It's a quiet hunting place, Duke. And I want to tell you this. As a child, even my mother always tell us to stay away from these gypsies. And, you know, we would see them here and there, but they never mixed with other people. Right. And when communism came, many of them went to Austria, Germany, even United States to work. So now they are not that poor like they used to be. So if you want to get craft, you're going to pay a lots of money now in euros. New government came, and the new government is coming with this democracy, and everything was good for one side of the people. But then they also wanted that votes for themselves, so they allow blacks and their religion to be free. And this is what made major alarm to entire Balkans and the Eastern Europe. The reason why, because these people are dangerous. This is not, you know, we are not allowing Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever, Taoism, being atheistic. This is actually very dangerous cult that it's connected with many horrible crimes.
It's a death cult.
It is. It's a death cult. And you mentioned something that is very important, and that's their obsession with death. The death cult basically is coming because they believe in 3 levels. So there is a higher power, middle world, and underworld. In the original videos that I send you, I think you will be capable of seeing how they prepare for the underworld. So as soon as they actually start actually getting young, they started preparing themselves for the death. And if somebody is dying, they actually need to get the clothes for them. So in that video where they're showing their tradition, when that person dies, they prepare the clothes and they will lay it on the bed or on the dirt. And after 40 days, this is what's very creepy, and I don't understand how come modern government is allowing this. After 40 days, they will dig out the grave and they will take the dead body out. Now, when the dead body is out, they will comb them, they'll bathe them, they'll dress them up in that clothing that is prepared and do the special rituals. After that special ritual is done, they would actually get, into the rituals that it's deeper with the dead. But imagine where are we that actually they're lifting up the dead from the grave after 40 days.
I would imagine that they'd have kind of a repulsive odor at that point, but I don't know what they're doing to preserve them.
And that's another thing. So they have their own ways of preserving the body. And everything that is happening inside of their culture is very secretive and very mystic. So when they're preparing the body for the other side, it's prepared specially. So they have special bathing, they have special incenses, they have special herbs. Everything is done in a totally different way. And their graves are not a simple grave. They're usually mausoleums, like the big graves. And when they do that, it's to honor that person. So, and the saddest part is if that person did die and they're really young, then they would find him a bride. So the bride would be a living person on this, earth, and then she will be married to a dead guy. So she will wear a white gown. She will be represented to the family. They'll go to the graveyard, and they have something again that is going to be quite interesting for people to see. It's called Call of Death. What it means, basically, game of death, where they will actually carry the picture and basically the towels and that special drums, the special beating, the special music is done at particular hours, particular time, particular moments to do the things.
They're marrying a young woman to a dead guy.
Yes, and that's when you're saying that, it's their tradition and their culture, but also their belief that he didn't have a time to get married on this earth and that he was taken to the other side too early. So now we're going to send him, to the other world to get married, and, he's going to be tied to the both sides. This is quite scary. And the reason why I'm saying it's quite scary, they're quite serious about it. And as they're doing that, there's a special baiting, special dance, special music. Everything has to be done as these basically believers believe. So there's a particular time that they'll walk around the graveyards. There's a particular time that, the music needs to be played. Even the dance and the steps, as much as it looks just like a folklore or the older dance, this is a particular dance that it's calling for the underworld. So they're quite strong in their beliefs. They always been. And then the worst part of that is like, okay, tradition and the culture is okay. But when they actually do the black magic, just like we have voodoo, they're very proud of that. And they'll tell you, we are stronger than voodoo. And I do believe and respect that. I believe they really are. Because what they can do, it's quite unbelievable.
Well, what can they do?
So the one thing, for example, they can give you cancer. They can stop your heart. They can make you kill entire family or, the villagers, just like it happened and the entire movie was made. They can make you go mentally or physically ill. They can destroy you financially. They can destroy your marriages. They're really popular in something that is called tying. So, for example, if I don't like you, Duke, I'll go to these ladies and I'll say, I want Duke's life to be destroyed. So they'll put a curse on you, so you never get married, you never have children, and you suffer through entire life. So they will always bring you closer so that you get hope, and then they'll crush you down. So that's called tying. It's quite important in their culture too, and their beliefs and their magic. Another very important thing is like for women not to have children. So, for example, if you hate me and now I left you and you wanted me to be your wife, or, or I'm your sister and I got married to somebody that you don't like, you'll go there and you'll say, I don't want her to have a children with this man. I don't want her. And then I won't be able to conceive the children. And many of the women that actually did end up on the curse, they never even knew. They accidentally did find that out. And then this is the hardest and the heaviest part. There's no way of removing the curse. It has to be only done by Vlach. There's somebody who has knowledge of that magic. And whatever damage is done, you won't be able to fix it. I have a good friend, and you know him, John, that it's Aboriginal medicine man. And we were kind of studying some things. And he openly said to me, while we were trying to help some people, he said, I can try to help, but whatever is done, when I look into the magic or, the craft that was done by these people, they're quite strong and powerful. I don't see one medicine man being capable of removing this. And then, so we were comparing, different kind of levels of the craft. And then another lady, she's from Cherokee tribe, and she's very well known. She's if we can say, a white witch from a Cherokee tribe here in Edmonton, very well known. And we did some research and study, and when she started digging into the things, she said, unfortunately, I cannot remove this. It's done. So when these people come to ask for help, or they reach you out for help, and you figure out that it's Vlasi, only Vlasi can remove it, only Vlasi can put a spell on it, because they're the one that mastered that craft.
Well, I can see why there'd be an arms race to get rid of them, that being the case. I wonder if this has anything to do with the Waffen SS during World War II that were tasked with hunting them down and getting rid of them.
And that's possible too. We must understand that many of them pay a very horrible price during the World War II. They were prosecuted. They were inside of the concentration camps, just like, many other Europeans, and Jews, of course. But the truth, what is, I think because of their tradition and the culture that they follow, they painted themselves with a really dark name. They also have somebody that is called a white witch, or a white Vlasi witch. She's capable of helping. She's capable of seeing and protecting or removing the craft from whoever did the darkness on their side. But it depends how strong she is, or they will tell you damage is done and I'm sorry, I cannot remove it. So in that documentary, you'll also see people lining up from United States, from Canada, from Germany, America. And there was one particular gentleman who said, while they were doing documentary, he said, this guy, I'm from, a news station. He goes like, I don't care that you are even from CNN, BBC, Christiana Amanpour herself. I came here because I want to help my family. So I don't care who you are. So some people are coming begging for help. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest, sometimes they do find the help. And if these people that they enter the homes with are really with a white craft, but many people that come to these people that are practicing the Vlasi white craft are already damaged. And 99% that runs to the family. What's really bad with Europeans, we actually, if we don't like somebody, we'll put a curse on each other. And we'll try to see how to hurt you and damage you. That's what we do.
Well, that's no way to go around treating your neighbors.
But honestly, that's sometimes.
See, here in the U.S., we got a completely different system. We just shoot them.
And that's another thing. If you look at them, another picture that I think will be quite interesting that I send you is from 1967. Again, it's the original picture and it's a black and white picture. You will see how they're dressed in traditional clothing. You will see the way of the burial and everything. In one way, if you study them, they're quite interesting, but in another way, they're quite dangerous. And their obsession with death. So they'll collect the waters from the grave. As they collect the waters from the grave, they'll use that waters from the grave to actually do the different magic. They'll collect the hair, they'll collect the undergarments. Anything that is connected with underworld will help them with their craft. And you cannot get married into that family. If you get married into that family and you are not them, believe me, sooner or later you'll pay the price. You cannot be out. Sometimes love wins. People, I think, fall in love, and women maybe fall in love and bring that, we can say, outsider inside of the home, but he'll never be accepted.
Yeah. And all it takes is one in-law that doesn't like him very much. And then, he's dead.
Yeah, exactly. And now because of their craft and their knowledge, and many people coming to them, everything is paid in euro or American dollars or pounds. They're actually very rich now. And you will see that they're living totally different life. So you're going to pay for their craft and their knowledge. I'm talking one opening of their cards, their special Vlasi cards, or a reading, or it can be thousands of the euros or dollars. So, for example, just for you to, if they open their own reading for like 10 minutes, it will be around 1,500 euros. So now they're charging for their craft as much as they can, what I understand, but also if the craft is good, I'm okay with it, but if craft is bad, it can be damaging for the rest of the life.
Yeah, I don't know. Having them around sounds like a problem.
It does. It does. It does. It's a quite interesting level to understand, because another thing that in that video you'll be capable of seeing, it's older women. So they go by the hierarchy. So all the women, they study basically the knowledge or the craft by age of 25, 30. As they enter their 40s, they're becoming masters. And when they go to do these duties, they go by the hierarchy. And everybody has their own place and their own time. When they go to the graveyards, what you will also see in that video, men cannot be participating, only women. The way they're dressing, it has to be done on the way. There's even special bread that they're making. As they're doing that making of the bread, they're kneading and they're making it. There's a curse on it. So as they're doing that curse, there's a way on it. One particular thing that I want you to know, that they really, many people don't like driving in that area, it's in intersections. So for them, this is where the place of the evil and goodness meet. So as you pass those intersections, 99% you will pick up something, and you will see them in the middle of the night walking around doing their rituals, because they're trying, that's why they're saying this is where underworld and upper world meet. So lots of rituals is done in the villages and intersection. You will see them in the middle of the night doing their spells. So sometimes even the cars that are passing or somebody may pay the price, not knowing that actually they didn't do anything wrong. People end up with cancer. People end up with losing their loved one. People end up doing even the suicide. And the reason why, because they will enter your mind, and once when they enter your mind, there's no way of going back.
So, are there any professional black magician hunters that we can hire to get rid of these people? Or
if we're talking especially about that part of the world, we must understand these are mostly Orthodox people. Some are Catholic, but these are very people of the Bible and Christianity. So we have Roman Empire across, Greek Empire. So this is how the originality of the culture goes. So they would ask usually 99% priests to come. And there is more than a couple priests that are working on it. And they're trying actually to raise public eye when it's coming to this. And even in that movie, or you will see in the videos, the priests are against it. And the reason why they're against it is they're actually trying to warn the public about it. To priests, this is a connection, not just to underworld, this is a connection to Satanism. So,
well, no kidding.
By Christianity, and by even if you take any of the other religion, and if you study them, this is a total connection to basically Satanism. They worship the darkness. They believe in hunting and hurting others will bring good to them. And they have their own language, and their own language is quite unique. There's no person or books written on it. It's all written orally. So they were learning it and passing it from one person to another. Everything is done and taught in the secret. So even if that's inside of the village, and so this is another trick now what it's sad. You will see an old woman, a grandma, practicing. But then across of the street, you will see this mansion gated, because now the thousands of the dollars or euros or pounds are coming because people are troubled. And the worst thing about it, when you see their belief for the underworld is very similar sometimes even to Egyptians. As soon as they start with the birth, they're already planning how to die and how to go to the other side. So they're already ready. And if it's somebody, like I'm saying, it's a young, it's quite interesting to see how excited they get. This is now, you will get entire village participating in the marriage or a black wedding, where actually a young woman is getting married to a man that is already dead.
Yike. I don't know. There's not a whole lot more to say than just yike. This is really okay. Let's review here. They marry dead guys to young women, gather up grave water, throw curses for money, involved in like lots of mayhem and evil. Not seeing the upside to letting them exist.
So this is what I can explain you. So, like I'm saying, as much as at that time communism was strong, I think they did a good thing there, because I will explain to you a real story. I'm not going to release the names. I'll just say how strong and powerful this magic is. There was a woman that was born in 1950s, and this runs in my family. And basically there was a gypsy that was living there, and she was doing really dark magic. And everybody in the neighborhood was scared of her. And so she had her own house. She wasn't poor. Her son was working and everything. And as she saw this young woman giving a birth of this child, you know, she was kind of eyeing on it, being very jealous. And they're always full of envy. So the young woman stayed alone at home without any oldies, and she came knocking at the door, and she said, so and so, can you actually give me some thread and needle? And the woman said to her, yeah, old mother, I'll give you some. So she went and she goes like, I need a red thread and a needle, if you can give me some. And then, you know, as the woman was going to give it to her, this is my ancestor actually, she said to her, I'm old, you know, I cannot see. Can you thread the needle for me? So the woman threaded the needle for her and gave her the needle, and she left. The next morning, we must talk, this is 1950s, she took a child to breastfeed. She didn't have any breast milk. She started crying how she's going to feed the baby, how the baby will survive, and etc. But then, you know, nobody paid attention. Nobody was thinking about the gypsy lady that is in a neighborhood. And her son was already working in Germany, you know, so she was kind of, you know, working and living a much better life. She had a grandson and she had a daughter. So then the grandma asked and said, you know, what happened? How come your milk suddenly so stopped? You know, you're a healthy young woman. What happened? And then somebody said that, you know, they needed to fix a button on the coat or something. And then she said, so-and-so actually came yesterday and she was borrowing the thread and the needle. So when the research was done and the prophecy was open and the priest came, they said that she actually tied her breast so that she couldn't have any milk for the child. So at that time, they went to the village because they were living in the city, searching for the milk to make the baby survive. And that's how, but she wanted to kill the baby because she cut off the mother's milk by the thread and by the needle that this girl gave it to her, not knowing she was innocent. She didn't know. And and she was eyeing when she's going to be alone so she can actually hurt her. So that tells you also it wasn't just done for the money. It's done for your own power, for the envy and jealousy. So that's what, this is the story that runs through my own family. And every time when I think about it, I just think like, what kind of evil person you need to be to, you know, especially at that time, cut mother's milk from the child. And so they're quite dangerous. They're quite dangerous and quite scary.
Lifelong evil, generational evil, societally organized evil.
Yes.
100% evil 100% of the time.
Yes.
I see no redeeming value in them whatsoever. It makes me wonder if they were around back in the 1400s when Uncle Vlad was running Wallachia, if they
Not
had
that
any
much.
interactions with him.
Not that much. And this is again another very wrong story that it's given inside of those crazy, I must say, stupid and totally ignorant Hollywood movies. Vlad was a knight, and Vlad didn't allow them to come onto the property until he didn't want to slaughter them. I'm going to be honest to you. So the reason why
That would have been my guess, that he would probably pretty much execute every last one of them that was in his country.
exactly, exactly. So he never liked them, and to them, to him, and to entire Dracul family, they were actually very dirty, and they were not part of true Romanian society, or at that time Transylvania, because Romania didn't even exist. So. When they were saying he was dealing with gypsies and whatever, I started laughing because in the history books that I study and that actually I've written, and they're the truth, he would gather them, God forbid, in the, in front of the castle, and then he would slaughter them. So there was nothing there that it's connected to him practicing any darkness with gypsies. So, but it was pretty good.
He was getting rid of them. Probably the
Yeah,
same thing he
he
would
was
have done
cleaning
with any
them out.
werewolves or
He
vampires
was
in his
cleaning them out,
territory.
and and they were really scared of him, because when Vlad started practicing his own way of magic, if I can say, Zoroastrianism, far away from what they were doing, he was becoming really master at it. They become really scared of him. First of all, he had the military power. Second of all, he was a ruler. Third of all, they would come because they would think that he's going to give them some reward or something, and then he would slaughter them. So Vlad became very powerful and a strong man, far away from them, and they never liked him. Even when Zach Baggins was coming to Transylvania, I started laughing. There were a couple of witches were sitting there in front of the castle, and they were trying to talk to him. Kind of, it was a good show, if we can say it that way. And I started
Zach
laughing.
Baggett
I'm
was
like, you
possessed
would
more
never
times than
enter. If he was alive, you would never enter the castle, because he never liked any of them. And that's another thing that people are also, if you look Romanians, they're actually different ethnicities. So Romania after came, but Transylvania was really, they were really light. They were more blondish and a white skin. After that, they started mixing with other groups around, so they become more darker, and they actually mix, like you're saying, with gypsies and everything. So that Bulgarians and Ottomans, so that's how they change. So the value of their own original Transylvanian tribe stay very little. So it's kind of, if you look at it, very sad, because originality of that beautiful Christian country was destroyed. And of course, with that stupidity in the movie, sometimes I go like, yeah, whatever. But it doesn't
yeah, and
make
you
sense.
should know. So the early Transylvanians look basically like you, is what you're saying.
Very much, very much. And as much as, and even in Christopher Lee, he did amazing acting. But Vlad was short, Duke.
Yeah.
Vlad was very short gentleman. He had a curly hair. He didn't have a short hair, more like a goatee. He was a tiny gentleman. He wasn't a, yeah,
From what
he
I've
wasn't
heard,
a
yeah,
big
he
guy.
wasn't a big, tall guy or anything. He was a little bit
No,
shorter
no,
than an average guy, but he was really stocky and strong. So
that's
he
true.
was a badass in a fight.
Yeah, he was a badass. That's true. But as they show him, I start sometimes laughing because they always, and I understand it's all about the appearance. They choose these handsome, good-looking, tall gentlemen. I started laughing like, this is far away from Vlad's look, but okay, people buy it, it's fine.
Yeah,
But that's what it is. But no, Vlad didn't approve their witchcraft. Vlad didn't approve their work, didn't approve their magic. Vlad was a knight with Saint Sava. who made actually that knighthood, Order of Dragon. So Vlad was far away from what Vlasy did. And he did
And the
something.
Vlassi were far away from where he was at, probably, if they had any
Exactly.
sense.
True. And then he actually did something. So if you talk about the woods around the Transylvania, he started practicing Zoroastrianism there. So actually they were not capable of coming through the woods. And even up to now, the woods around the Transylvania, especially around the castles, are really hunted. And the things there that are happening are quite scary, unusual, and even many researchers, the doctor and the scientists are coming. So this is the fact. They don't have the answer, but Vlad knew how to play with certain doors and certain fields. And I think that's what scared gypsies, because somebody was capable of catching up with them, and they didn't like that.
Yeah, because Zoroastrianism was only about 1,000 years older than them.
Yes. and you know, if you look at him, many people don't even pay attention to that. You know, original kings and queens of the Europe, they will always have tiara or the big crown.
Yeah.
Vlad doesn't have that. He does have his medallion. He does have even.
He's got the cool hat with a feather in the
Yes, and the feather and the peacock. And the reason why of that, it is Zoroastrianism. So it's far away from basically what originality of crowns, especially at that time, was. And some people, and I do believe in that. I do believe that his name was really destroyed. They put so much dirt, while Saint Sava, you know, did the best. That was the first archbishop of Christianity in the Europe, did everything to protect the churches. They actually made him look like worse like Sodom and Gomorrah, but it's actually far away from it. He built many churches, he protected many people, and he's a national hero to many people. And to us, we call him Vlad Tepes, and we know him as that. But and even Dracul doesn't mean vampire, or Nosferatu, what in Latin means blood-sucking creature, or Vikodlak or Vukodlak. He actually, Dracul means son of a dragon.
Yeah.
So it's far away from everything that they did in the movies, and far away from the Vlachs and
Order of the Dragon. Actually,
yes.
I looked up the history on this, and Vlad, when he was a ruler twice for 2 short periods.
Yes.
By the time he ended up in his second rule, he had set a record in that area of having created more churches and monasteries than all previous rulers combined.
Exactly.
How do you reconcile with that, with this guy being portrayed as a monster?
And that's what makes me very angry. And I think, you know, I'm Dr. Dennis Carroll. I'm really happy to say that. So he's saying that the nephew of, you know, of the writer of the scripts will like to meet me. And I said, I'm quite excited. I would like to ask him, you know, personally. I think I will really grow fangs. How are you going the name of one of the biggest Christian crusaders and protectors? And like you're saying, then he built so many churches than any other leader over there, and that you're saying things like that. So I'm a person who loves the honesty, and to me, you know, that's really disrespectful. And it's just really bad. It will be the same now that we say, we make up the story and we say, by the way, you know, Duke did this, Duke did that, and you were a national hero, you were a war veteran, you were police officer, it doesn't matter. But we know you were part of your country, you did everything positively. And it's disgusting because he was scared to talk about Ireland, he was talk about Scotland or the Great Britain, because he know they'll cut the head off. So he took a small country and from the national hero, he made a monster. So my first question is going to be, I'm quite excited to meet him, is going to be, how do you feel that we are not talking about thousands, but I'm talking about millions of the people that coming from that area are actually spitting on you and on your ancestors while you destroy somebody who built so many churches. You know, they say that actually their family is cursed. And I believe in that. They say that most of them die from cardiac arrest, that they die from, and that, of course, Dracul died. Vlad was already dead when this was written. But they said because of so many powerful things that he did, that the family of Bram Stoker actually did get a curse. And I believe in that. I do strongly believe in that. You cannot play with everything, Duke. Everything has a limit. You know, I respect you, are an older gentleman with so much education and so much knowledge, but you cannot push the buttons. There is a limit. So
Yep.
there is a limit, and I think that's what's happening with their family.
Now that's an interesting take. I never really considered that, but in as much as you tried to drag a national hero's reputation through the mud and turn him into a monster, I could see how that might piss off the locals quite a bit.
Yeah, and we must understand that if actually, because Pope himself was begging Vlad to help him against the Ottomans, and many people, this is the truth, many people don't know that the history would be totally different if basically Hungarians didn't betray Vlad. But the truth what is, this gentleman did so much for entire region that I don't think even Ottoman Empire would be ruling for such a long time if they did support him instead of backing him up. This is a history. This is a fact. This is not written by me. So I'm just saying to people to read the history, understand what is the fact.
Yeah, well, the King of Hungary was a complete backstabber and imprisoned Vlad for no damn reason for a few years, and he has no excuse. And Vlad did petition the Pope to go on another crusade against the Ottoman Turks.
Yes.
And oh my God, if he had been given the troops and money that he needed,
yes,
world history would be completely different right now.
Thank you so much for saying that. The world history would be totally different. And that's, I think, what's wrong with the world today. Even us right now, we used to glorify people that we love. So I'm talking about that. When you're a little, I'm sure your parents told you this is a police officer, this is a soldier, this is a ambulance, this is a doctor. Everything that we used to cherish as a people and recognize, our peacekeepers, the one that really give us something that is priceless is freedom. Without police officers, we wouldn't be standing outside. Now we are putting those people down. So we never learn anything from the history. So it's the same with our, for example, kings and queens and crusaders. I think that's why there's a big mistake in entire Christianity, because we are not learning anything from the history.
No, well, there's so many people are not paying any attention to history at this point. It's just not really being taught unless you're, going out and looking for it. You're not going to have that much of it thrust upon you in the course of your general education. Quite the opposite, in fact.
Yes.
And it's really, though, not only is it that those who forget the lessons of history are doomed to repeat them.
And
but it's also that
yes,
the greatest cover-up in history is the cover-up of history.
It
and
is.
That's going on.
And even if we took, I know lots of times, I know you guys talk about werewolf, dogman, vukodlak, stirgolf, or however you want to call it. In our culture, the entire story, we believe in it. And I do believe, I never saw it, I'm not going to say that, but I do believe that they do exist. And again, as much as we have powerful medicine men here, like they're saying they're capable of doing the shape shifting, I think is the same thing that our gypsies did in the Europe. So pretty much, to me, they are very werewolf or dogman. It's a very similar thing. It's always coming from the same story. These people that know they're coming from a different dimensions, they can change the shifts, the sizes and everything. So we have that story, and that also is coming from Vlassi. Vlassi believe in shape shifting, and people that would see them. For example, I was talking to you. Forgive me, about intersection. There's a gentleman, and not just one, many people, they say they'll drive a car where they see them doing their rituals, and then couple of the women, as they dress in a black, they'll change into something, run in front of the car, or, so they're capable doing these things. Now, is it telepathically that, they control us at that moment, that they don't physically do it? But the people witness things like that, and this is proven. They would even phone and report it to police. And then if we talk about Skinwalker Ranch, and if we talk about shape-shifting here, we can say, when I talk to many of them, shape-shifting would happen when the medicine man, would go into the darker side, go into the woods, and then after that look for the tourists, want the deeper power and the darker power. So these stories are quite similar, and even the appearances of the creatures are quite similar. And nobody said they're pleasant. Everybody said they're quite evil, and they're quite dangerous. So this is something that, it's happening on the same continent, on different continents, but it's the same story. So that's what I also want people to know. I don't believe that we are that much different, Duke. I do believe that we are all the same people, of the same organs, same, skin being the biggest organ of the human body. But we are just having a different way of connecting to different dimensions, different powers, connecting even to the darkness, or playing with the darkness, what we call the, extraterrestrials. At the ancient time, they called them gods. So I think it's maybe what we had Velej, or, the gods Zeus, on the other side here, or there was Hera and, Neptune. So I think it's the same gods, the same powers, the same elements.
Just different names. Now, interestingly, the parallels with the Navajo tribe run really high there, because you're talking about people that can change into animal form. And of course, they have the skinwalkers.
Yes.
And the skinwalkers, one of the reasons they had skinwalkers is because they didn't live in villages.
Yeah.
They all lived in their own little isolated houses. So it made it extremely easy for an enemy tribe to come in and just pick them off one by one, go through and kill all of them. And what stopped them is that, well, it got dark. And then after dark, the skinwalkers attacked them, and then they weren't around anymore. Either chased them out or killed all of them. So then they decided that, going around picking off random Navajo, not a good idea. Skinwalkers will kill us. But even according to them, there's a bunch of different things going on there, and some of them will tell you that they're actually physically changing into the shape of the animal, and it's not just a wolf. Yeah. They can skinwalk the form of any kind of animal.
That's
and some of them will tell you that actually what it is, it's an astral form that appears solid, seems to be there, but actually isn't. And one of my friends pointed out that, he had been to a couple spots where skinwalker sightings had happened, and there's no tracks. They don't leave tracks. So if they're a physical being, they have to kind of leave tracks, right? But they're not leaving any tracks. Exactly. So they're in astral form, basically. But that doesn't mean that they can't be there in physical form, because that's the other side of the coin, that they say they can physically change into that. They got their choice. They can just terrify you with an astral form, or they can send the physical shape change one there, whatever. And this makes me wonder, if they've got all these black magic powers with these evil Carpathian mountain gypsy death cultists, how much they had to do with the Bricolakas, and other weird cryptids over there, were they maybe the ones that even created these things to start with? Is that where the werewolves and the vampires came from?
Yeah, exactly. And, many of the people don't know like I'm saying, Hollywood is entertaining and it's good to fun, but there's always myths and legends. And now more than ever before, we're finding that myths and legends are becoming reality. We know that Hobbit existed. We know that giants existed. There's a list goes on. We know that dinosaurs did live and walk among the other creatures. So Drumheller is just here, like 2 hours away from me. So basically, everything that we're going deeper and deeper into the history, in fact, is becoming the reality. So every story that was based on myth and legend, there's something that is connecting us to reality. And because of today's technology and, advance, we are capable of finding more than ever before. So when you're mentioning that, we must understand that now we're seeing the pyramids in the Europe. We never saw pyramids before, but we have pyramids in the Europe.
Yeah, Bosnian.
Exactly. And you go like, okay, how in Bosnia we can have pyramids? Is this possible?
By the way,
Exactly.
Anybody that's heard of that story of the Bosnian pyramids, there's also the story that goes with it that they had special ops teams and stuff that actually got underneath it and went and checked out what was in there and blah, 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 and then sealed it off, not letting people go in there.
Yeah.
I actually know somebody that claims he was on that team.
I
and
believe
the stuff they're saying on the internet, he says it's factual.
And I believe you, and I respect what you're saying. It's factual. The reason why we must understand that for quite a long time, Egypt was taking so much attention with their stories, with their traditions, with their culture, and was always a mystery. Let's be honest. And now we have a small Bosnia, a small country, that it's not even like United States pocket. It's a very small country that has so much miracle beside it. So now how come these pyramids are existing there? And like you're saying, it's a fact, but I'm sure there's politics involved just like in everything else. So we are not allowing the story to come to the truth.
You know what it is? It's Egypt putting the pressure on them. They want to keep hogging all the limelight because they got the pyramids. Nobody else had pyramids but Egypt.
Exactly.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's what.
Have you guys looked at how many pyramids there are in China, by the way?
Exactly. And China is a country that is full and beautiful of mysticism. I have more than a couple books. I have more than a couple friends that are Chinese, and the truth, what is, they're full of many beautiful culture and the stories, where there's different creatures, there's dragons, there is soldiers of clay, there is kings and queens that play with the elements of fire, air, water, and wood. That they
really
have their
tall,
own
red-haired, white-skinned mummies from
exactly. Yeah. So if you look at it, all this Japan too, all these ancient cultures, they're full of so much knowledge and so much also darkness, because whenever you have light, you must have darkness. Whenever you have darkness, you must have light. So these two things do meet together, and you have to find a balance. So
yeah, and the darkness is always there first because dark is faster than light.
True.
Whenever light gets somewhere, dark was already there.
Exactly. And it's the same that somebody said, we love angels, they're beautiful. But if we think about the angels and appearance of the angels, in a Bible, we know that angels also change the shifts, shapes and everything. They can be very angry, they can be very dangerous and scary looking. But through our history and humanity, we have angels like little boys, little girls.
Yeah, they didn't look anything
so
like that.
No. But it's far away from originality, because what is an angel? Angel is a God's soldier. Yep. Angel is a God's soldier. So I don't think angel will come with as a soldier guarding the heaven, guarding something so powerful with these little wings and, like a butterfly fluffing around. It's quite, but it's okay, we can keep it that way if people like it.
Which book is it? Ezekiel, where he's given the descriptions of all the different angels
yes.
and stuff? And it's like,
Yes,
yeah, go read those descriptions. These sound like kaiju from a Godzilla movie,
and
not
they
like
are
fluffy
huge.
little cherubs.
And there is a new movie. I think it's called The Fight of Titans or something like that, where they're showing the angels changing the shift. It's pretty cool because they're actually showing the male and a female, and they're talking. And as they change, they got this order to go. So you will see they're changing in a pretty scary creatures, just like we are explained that they are. But to me, immediately, I was even discussing this Saturday with my mother. Somehow, the story I said, the soldier of God won't look innocent, and this is a soldier guarding the power of heaven, or all this universe and everything. He's not going to be like a little butterfly that is fluffing the wings around, but that's our imagination. That's what we like. So many things there are wrongly said, and I think if you go deeper into the Bible or into the ancient studies, and that's why I love being a researcher of the ancient studies, where you actually can find a fact, and many people won't accept it. They'll actually get very angry if you give them the fact,
Oh
because
yeah,
they
I love that.
accept
That's
the
one of my
fact.
favorite
No,
features.
they don't. Exactly.
The
If
best
you
kind
tell
of
them
correct
this
is
is
technically correct.
if this is the truth and you're giving them the truth, they won't like it because they want to live in that illusion and that bubble.
Yeah,
And I think it's quite a time for people to wake up from illusion in the Bible, because it's already burning under our feet and our butt for quite a long time.
yeah, yeah. You're not doing yourself any favors by keeping your head buried in the sand. It's a lot
Exactly.
better to take a look at what's going on around you, and figure out what your best methodology at the time is, which direction to run, where you should hide, whatever it might be.
True, true,
If
true.
you don't know what's coming, you can't avoid it. So it's always better to know what the heck's going on around you. And sometimes you can solve the problem before it becomes a problem. And that's,
Exactly.
having knowledge definitely helps in that regard. And that's one thing that Danielle is completely full of,
Oh,
besides
thank you.
kindness and beauty, is
Oh,
knowledge.
thank you. Thank you
So love
very
having
much.
her on the show to share, because like I'm really into all of the ancient history and all that kind of stuff. It's one of the things we have in common. So
Oh,
that's one of the
yes.
things I really love having Danielle on the show,
Thank
because
you.
we can go kind of in depth on some of this stuff. And the thing with these evil pickle gypsies, these Vlasic pickle gypsies, I had never really heard anything about these guys until Danielle brought it up to me, and I'm just like, wait, there's what? They're doing what? And she said, no, 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 there's these evil gypsies. And I'm like, okay, well, you got to come on the show and tell me about these guys.
I'm glad that you gave me your time, and when you invited me, I was quite excited, and I was like, okay, I'll come and share a little piece of history. There's so much to be always learned, so much to be unknown, and figure it out every day. Duke, what is quite sad, I must say, that we as a humanity always repeat the history, starting
Yeah.
from Anunnaki, ancient Sumerians, and the list goes on. Uh, I
I
don't
think
know,
that's
but
one of I honestly think that's one of the reasons why they teach so little history in school, because
possible.
they could buffalo people so much better when they don't know history and go, wait, these jerks pulled this ploy 150 years ago. They're just wheeling out the same BS they did 150 years ago. It didn't work then. It's not going to work now. Stop it.
And that's what you're saying. It's quite possible, and I believe so, because less people know and less educated they are, it's really easier to manipulate them and play with them. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes, I pretend I don't know things, or I just walk away, because there's no point of pushing the buttons or explaining the things that, I go like, whatever. And I just go in my own world. But I love when people like you and people that, are the viewers and the listeners can see, at least for a moment, a little bit, from the history that is coming from a different continent. But like I'm saying, we are all connected. I don't believe that we are different at all. Just like the other day, I had one patient, and he has a lots of issues, and then he was glorifying Queen, and And I go like, I want to tell you something. I said, did Queen die? Yeah, Daniel, she died. I said, does Prince Charles has cancer? Yeah, he does. I said, title is just a name. We all go away, when is our time. We all get sick. Our hearts beat the same. Organs work the same. There's no special treatment for anybody. We do special treatments and we make these people glamorous, but actually we are all the same. There's no difference. So just because I'm Danielle, it doesn't mean I cannot get a heart attack. So that's totally stupid. So, but that's what some people think. These people are bigger than
Great
God.
choice of words, though. You said glamorous. Glamour technically means a spell.
Exactly.
They're casting a spell on you that they're glamorous. They're so amazing. Watch them. Pay attention to their every movement. Listen to their every word. Ooh, the glamour. Ooh, the stardom. Yeah, it's all fabricated. You believe it because you believe it. It's not real.
Exactly. And the history is repeating itself. All these people that have been glamorized or, idolized or made as a god and goddesses.
Enchanted. You're enchanted.
At the end, it just disappeared. Nero died, Caesar died, Hitler died. So if they were really gods, I don't think, they will be dead. They will be immortal. And we are all sinners. We are all mortal. None of us can live forever.
Well, they all died, even Vlad. No, he didn't come back as a vampire. Exactly. He died too.
Exactly. He died too. He wasn't immortal. He died from a brutal death, actually. So if you look at it,
he died fighting like a hero, at least. He took down several of his attackers in the process.
And that's a way to go if you look at it. But, that's what I'm saying. And people don't understand that, history is repeating itself. Even at this moment, Duke, as we're talking, history is repeating itself. And it's up to us to wake up. So if it's from the story of Vlasi, from Vlad, from Saint Sava, it doesn't matter, whoever you want to take, angels, Dai Buddha, there's many things there to be learned, and the history is just repeating itself.
And so, man, that's the moral of tonight's show. Ancient horrors were real and are still around. So defend yourself against them as best you can.
True.
And on that positive note, is there anything else you wanted to add yet tonight?
Yes, so I want to say, first of all, thank you for inviting me to your show. I was quite honored. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and to your listeners and to your viewers. I want to tell them, yes, I am on Diva's Dimensions, and I'm on the Infamous Minds. You can find me there on Texas Front Porch. And I just opened my own channel. It's a brand new channel. It's called.
This is the good one now. Pay attention. You guys all get over and sub this channel. Much. This is the one that has Duke's approval. Tea Time with Duchess Danielle Diva. Go sub her channel.
Thank you. And if anybody would like to subscribe, it's all about ancient history. We also have Dr. Dennis Carroll there. He's my co-host. He helps me out when we discuss the Bible, prophecies of the Bible. We talk about apocalypse. We talk about who is the next Antichrist, and the list goes on. So we're meeting the science and the ancient studies. So we are doing that. We also have some family fun there. So it's really something new that I'm really proud of. If people would like to learn about spirituality, they can find my book on the Amazon, and it's called The Magic of the Spirit Lake. Every single word inside of that book is a true story, and every detail is a fact and the truth.
I've still got to get a copy of that book from my library. And I want it hand-signed and autographed by you. Put on your glossiest red lipstick and do a kiss on the inside of it.
I have your email. I'll send it to you. And then the new one is coming. And the new one is called The True Story of a Son of a Dragon. And,
cool. This is the one I've been looking forward to.
Thank you. This one is a true story about Vlad, and I own this story. And the reason why, because I want to wash his name, and I promised to him I'll wash his name, and I'll do that.
Right on. If any of you have missed the previous episode that we did on her great uncle Vlad, you can go find that. It really cool episode. We uncovered a whole lot of stuff about the reality of Vlad the Impaler as opposed to the not reality of Vlad the Vampire.
True.
So, yep, interesting part of the world for sure. I mean, the it's just nonstop chaos and shakeup over there. It seems like you can't have a country that exists for more than 50 years and then they're busy fighting each other again.
I think the entire land there, entire that area is cursed.
It kind of makes me wonder because there's been so much of that going on for so long if it hasn't just cursed the area. Yeah. And there's some native lands here in the U.S. that seem to be the same way because of some of the stuff they were doing in the past. The area is just cursed.
Exactly. So like I'm saying, again, we have two different continents, different people, but very similar, almost identical stories. So I would just tell to everybody, pay attention to the history because history has so much knowledge and so much facts, and you can learn from it.
Absolutely. And burying your head in the sand isn't going to help. So go learn your history. As a matter of fact, it's really, really interesting. You'll find out all kinds of things that they don't want you to know, which will then irritate them greatly that you found them out. So it's worth doing it for no other reason than just that, the general irritation. Hey, you know what? This is what really happened here? Well,
True.
Here's what really happened.
True.
All right. Well, once again, everybody, thanks for being here. Danielle, thank you so much for being here. Love having you on the show. We'll have to get something going with you again in the future. Figure out something that we can bring on and talk about pertaining to ancient history, monsters, myths, legends, whatever, because there's tons of that tied in with cryptids and all that kind of stuff. Yes. So the connections are virtually endless on that end. And for all of you out there, don't forget to do the usual things, follow all of the abjurations in the end part where I warn you against things and what not to do. And add to the list of that one, do not piss off the Vlasies. See you next week. Everyone, safety first, last, and always. Pay it forward. Don't be mean to people if you don't have to be. Don't flip off the mountain giant. Don't poke Dogman with a stick. Don't punt the puck, would you? And for God's sake, whatever you do, do not hug the Wookiee.